Welcome back to Thoughts from a Bookworm. I'm Abigail Grace. Today we're going to be talking about book 4 of the Tiger's Curse series, which is Tiger's Destiny. Now, this book ruined the series for me, and it wasn't even the whole book. It was literally the ending. The ending was so bad. It was so completely terrible, and it wasn't even one of those endings where it was like a sad ending, but good for the plot. It was just a bad ending. It was bad, sad, and it was bad like unnecessarily, like it was just so poorly done. I literally finished this series, and up until this point I had really loved this series. Like, I loved it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so fun, I can't wait to reread it. I finished the book and I was like, I literally do not want to read this series again. Like, it's so bad. What made me revisit this series was the 5th book, which I'm pretty sure the author self-published, because like the formatting is very different, the font is very different, the cover is very different, like it's very different, and like on the inside page it says printed on the date that I ordered it. So I'm pretty sure the author self-published it. I don't know why. I don't know if it was kind of like a last minute thing that she thought of. Maybe she'd gotten dropped by her agent. I have no idea. But what made me want to read the series again was the 5th book, because the 5th book kind of fixed the crummy ending of book 4. So while we're talking about it, we'll just talk about the ending. I've said it once, this is not a spoiler-free podcast. The ending, so book 3 ends with Ren getting his memory back and Kishin and Kelsey technically being together, which in a way I admire Kelsey for, like, sticking to what she said, in that, okay, now that, you know, if I commit to Kishin, I'm not just going to ditch Kishin because something better comes along. I admire that in her, but I feel like the flip side is, okay, the circumstances were a little bit unusual, and if you're in love with somebody, but you're with somebody else just because you don't want to hurt them, like, that's kind of not, in my opinion, like, not really the wisest thing to do, because, like, okay, so then you're cheating the second person out on finding somebody who does actually love them. I don't know. Anyway, that all aside, so book 4 ends. Book 4 is so confusing because we get into time travel, all this kind of stuff, but book 4 ends with them breaking the Tiger's Curse, and there's this big revelation of, okay, the Tiger's Curse has been broken, but the Tiger's Curse was put in place for a reason, and Durga/Anna, who's an actual person, needs a tiger. So the one who stays behind is Kishin. So then Ren and Kelsey go back to the future, they plan a wedding, they get married, blah, 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 and then like a month later, they get a letter from the past, from Kishin, saying like, oh, Kelsey, a part of me will always belong to you. Don't worry about me. Anamika and I, established a friendship that grew into love, and then we got married. So it just like had a very like, Kishin was given this horrible circumstance and he made the best of it, but he wasn't actually happy. Book 5 kind of got more into that, and like I said, I think book 5 was an afterthought because so much of what happened in book 4 is so different, retold from Kishin's point of view in book 5. But that ending made me so mad because my heart broke for Kishin, because I liked Kishin. He was my favorite brother. I've talked about that before. I was rooting for him the whole time. I thought he was way too good for Kelsey. He was my favorite brother. So to have him just tossed to the wayside, literally for no reason. I mean, the author could have done something really trippy where like we almost had like not a love square, but like this love like overlap. Like you had Ren and Kishin, or Ren and Kelsey, who were in love with each other, Kelsey and Kishin, who were engaged. What if Kishin started falling in love with Anamika, and then he felt like there could have been some like hints that Kishin started to fall out of love with Kelsey and actually wanted to stay behind. But as it ended, Kishin stayed behind because he knew that Kelsey could never be happy without Ren, because Ren was the one who she actually loved. So he basically was like, okay, sure, I'll sacrifice, I'll stay behind and be sad for the rest of my life so that my brother and the girl I love can be happy together. And it was just like so sad. And like I said, it was totally unnecessary, and there were literally so many ways that could have been like done so much better that it just, yeah, the 5th book did redeem it, and we'll get more into it, but the 5th book is all about Kishin and Anamika, Anamika? Kishin and Anamika. I think you can technically say it either way, like Anna or Anna. I say it Anna, so I think it's Anamika. I think I say it Anamika. I think that's how I say her name. Anyway, 5th book is all about the two of them and like them falling in love, and I absolutely love them. Like, they are adorable. They're just, I like that. So I like book 5. I did like book 5. Book 5 redeemed the sucky ending of book 4, but so in this book, they finally find the last of Durga's gifts, which is the rope of fire. And when you light the rope of fire on fire and do this crazy spinny Doctor Strange thing,
I have been falling for 30 minutes.
It opens a time portal. So all of our characters go back in time to an unknown time. They figure out that it's sometime around the time that Alexander the Great was alive. There's these different wars going on. And again, I'm not super familiar with Indian mythology or even Indian history. I know, like, general, like, world history, but I'm not like familiar enough to be like, oh my gosh, I totally recognize it. Oh my gosh. So it was really cool learning about history kind of told through the eyes of, like, somebody in, my time. So that part was really cool. It comes out that the goddess Durga is actually just a regular woman, Anamika, who is one of the leaders of the good guys trying to fight against this demon. I can never pronounce his name. I think you say Mustafar, because it always reminds me of the planet from Star Wars. I think you say Mustafar. I don't remember, but he is actually Lokish, who has been, like, vying to find somebody who he can, like, take over the world with. He had targeted Kelsey. That's why he kidnapped her at the end of book 4. Anyway, so the 3 of them, the 2 brothers, Kelsey and Anamika, kind of all team up to defeat this demon. Kelsey kind of has this moment of, like, jealousy because as soon as they get to this camp, everyone is turning to Anamika and Ren. She thinks that Anamika is interested in Ren because, like, they're spending so much time together while she's still engaged to Kishin. Like, girl, like, either commit, like, fully or, like, pick. Like, don't. Ugh. Kelsey drove me crazy in this book so much. So it comes out throughout the course of them. In the past, each of Durga's gifts are for something. They use the golden fruit to feed the army. They use the pearl necklace, the divine scarf. The divine scarf. Obviously, the rope of fire was for them to get there. So they have this lead up to this battle. It takes place over, like, 2 months. It's a very long stretch of time that they're preparing for this battle. The final battle is Durga and Kelsey, who used the divine scarf to make herself also look like Durga, the goddess, which I thought was really cool because it kind of put a twist on, like gods and goddesses. Because one of the reasons I'm not a fan of, like, Percy Jackson and stuff is because I don't like playing with gods. One, because there's only one true god, and I don't like having demigods and this person is the god of this and this person's the god of that, and I don't like it. It's just kind of treading dangerous waters. So I like how the author, kind of like what the Marvel Universe did, is Thor wasn't actually a god. He was just an alien who the mortals worshipped as a god. So the author put kind of a similar spin on the whole Durga being a goddess thing. She's not actually a goddess. She's literally Anamika, who uses the divine scarf to give her the 8 arms and the golden skin and, like, all this kind of stuff. So she's not actually a goddess. She's just personified. She personifies a goddess in this setting, which is, like, a little bit easier for me to digest, that she's, like, pretending versus her actually being a goddess. So she and Kelsey kind of disguise themselves as they're both Durga because there's different versions of Durga, and then they have to ride into battle on their tigers. And when Anamika tries to get on, I don't know why I keep saying Anamika all of a sudden. When Anamika tries to get on Ren, she's, like, pushed back by this force. Kelsey has the same thing with Kishin, so they have to switch. So Kelsey goes to ride on Ren, Anamika goes to ride on Kishin, and Kelsey realizes that she can, like, hear Ren's thoughts and vice versa. So the two of them have this kind of, like, thought conversation during this battle where they, confess each other's love. Neither of them hold back anything. Kelsey can see it to Ren's heart. She can see how confused and hurt he was when he had lost his memory because he was in love with her, but he couldn't remember her. He wanted to be around her, but he knew being around her was hurting her. So it was just like these barriers are kind of now dissolved. They conquer Lokesh, Anamika's twin brother, Sunil, who is being kind of like controlled, kind of like, the Loki staff. They free him. They win. Everything is good. Everything is victorious. And then that's when they figure out, okay, the curse isn't quite yet broken because one tiger needs to stay behind. Durga needs her tiger. Because that's like the whole thing, is that Durga and her tiger. It's not just Durga. Durga has a tiger. So Kelsey assumes that because Ren has the superhero complex, that Ren's going to be the one to stay behind, even though she is still engaged to Kishin. She hasn't broken off with Kishin. She is still engaged to Kishin. She's very devastated that she's going to now lose Ren. Kishin sees that and offers to stay behind in his brother's place. Ren and Kelsey go back to the future.
We're sending you back to the future.
They have a wedding. Ren took, because when Kishin and Kelsey got engaged, Kishin obviously gave her a ring, and it was a ruby ring, and Ren had it reset into a lotus flower necklace, which I thought was really sweet, that like he didn't just like throw away his brother's ring, because there's been very little like brotherly affection toward each other or brotherly respect, which I didn't really like, but I thought that was really sweet that Ren didn't just like, throw Kishin's stuff away and pretend he didn't exist, that he recognized that his brother had an impact on him, his brother had an impact on Kelsey. And then, like I said, I think it's like a month or so after their wedding, they get this like mysterious letter that comes to them, and it's from Kishin, who said that he's been spending his whole life with Anamika, that he ended up falling in love with her, that she agreed to marry him, and then he says at some point that Kelsey, that a small part of his heart will always belong to her, which I didn't like that either, and that contradicts everything that happens in book 5, which again, I'm pretty sure book 5 was an afterthought, because that is not the case in book 5. By the end of book 5, Kishin is 100% in love with Anamika. Like, he didn't feel, we'll talk about that more next week, but that, in like a brief summary, there is literally so much that happens in this book, because all of the other 3 books, the finding Durga's gift is like the main quest of the book. With book 4, finding the rope of fire was like the first half, and then the second half was them fighting Lokish and kind of, the tiger's destiny playing out. So it was a lot. I forgot what I was saying. The ending of book 4 did not make me want to read it again. I think I accidentally found the 5th book, which is called Tiger's Dream, because I was looking on Amazon for something and it popped up and I was like, what? And it's told in Kishin's point of view, which I think is really cool. So yeah, we will talk about that next week. If you made it to the end, thank you so much. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you never miss an episode.